If you ever heard of Ratchet and Clank, it was probably right when the movie and the reboot/remake came out in 2016, since that was the only time I'd ever heard anyone else talk about it. I've always wanted to get into reviews, so what better place to start than literally the first game I ever played. We open with a cutscene of Ratchet working on his ship. His Apple Watch informs him that everything is in place except for the robotic ignition system, which I guess is just future spaceship DRM. At the same time, we're given an image of a robotic assembly line that looks particularly evil. A defect pops out and learns something that he doesn't like, so he legs it and then ships it. He doesn't make it very far before he's shot down overhead Ratchet, who sets out to investigate. We're given control and oh fuck, the controls are inverted. I get that there's still a divide over which way you should point the stick to look up and down, but the horizontal axis is inverted too. After fixing that, we get to play the game. I slap some enemies to get the feel for Ratchet's movement and melee capabilities, I break some boxes which contain bolts, the game's currency, and the game is nice enough to give me a hint about canceling hints, which I cancel. After getting a feel for things, I start listening to the music more and I think, hey, this is pretty good. On average, the music in the whole game is really good. I'm not really knowledgeable enough to talk about music critically, but the tracks are super catchy and memorable even if they get drowned out by the gameplay sounds a lot. Take a listen. As I'm jamming out to the music, I'm also trying to wrangle the movement and camera. Ultimately, the way Ratchet controls is a bit floaty since he can't turn in place, but the main thing that hampers your movement is the camera, which really wants to look in whatever direction Ratchet is. I learned about this the hard way, of course. When you die, your bolts and ammo remain, and you're put at the closest checkpoint. Oh, ammo! Yeah, we have a gun! I figured it out just a bit before the game bothered to tell me.
To use your bomb glove, press the circle button to equip it, and the circle button again to fire it.
It's a glove that throws bombs at people. Or, I guess your hand throws the bombs at people. The glove just puts the bomb in your hand, but The rest of the level passes without incident, and we find Clank. Ratchet takes him back to the garage, and he keeps working on his ship. Since the ship is done, I can only assume he's trying to figure out a way to hack the DRM. Clank scares the shit out of Ratchet, and here I immediately notice that Ratchet's voice is different.
You bet. I built that ship with it.
In every game after this one, Ratchet is voiced by James Arnold Taylor.
We're still pretty busy, but in a more, domestic sense.
But in this one, he's voiced by Mikey Kelly, who I guess isn't cool enough to have his own picture on his Wikipedia page.
Well, he's on the radio every week. Other than that, no. Hey, what's with all this save the solar system stuff anyway?
I'm pretty used to Taylor's voice as Ratchet, so it's always jarring to hear this one for the first time.
You bet.
Currently, I'm in search of someone who could be of assistance in saving the solar system.
Clank is voiced by David Kay, who voices him in every game. His acting repertoire is like 80% cartoon robots, including Megatron from Beast Wars. Yes. Clank explains that he needs to find Captain Quark, a superhero/TV star that Ratchet has a poster of, so that Quark can save the galaxy. He gives Ratchet an infobot to explain the situation.
Hello, citizens of... My race, the Blog, have a small problem. Our planet has become so polluted, overpopulated, and poisonous that we are no longer able to dwell here. But I, Chairman Drek, have a solution. We are constructing a pristine new world using the choicest planetary components available. So, what does this mean to you, you might ask? Using highly sophisticated technology, which you couldn't possibly understand, we will be extracting a large portion of your planet and adding it to our new one. Unfortunately, this change in mass will cause your planet to spin out of control and drift into the sun, where it will explode into a flaming ball of gas. But, of course, sacrifices must be made. Thank you for your cooperation. And if you don't like it, you can take your whiny, sniveling, snot-nosed populations, form a line behind me, and kiss my... We're still on? Well, turn it off, you idiot!
Oh,
Ratchet and Clank make a deal. Clank will bypass the DRM to make Ratchet's ship fly, and in return, Ratchet will take them to Quark. They take off and exchange pleasantries.
Oh, and by the way, you can stop calling me sir. The name's Ratchet.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, sir.
You got a name?
My serial number is V54296.
Oops. I'll just call you Clank for short. Hang on.
Ratchet has never piloted a ship before, so naturally their landing was of the crash variety. We need to find a ship before we can leave, so I start exploring. This is Planet Novalis, and it looks really good. While the technical graphics are pretty much what you would expect for a 2002 game, this game overflows with style. Here we can see the colorful floor, creative character design, and great animations. Outside of bugs caused by the ported version, there was never any moment where I thought this looks bad, or wow, imagine what they could have done with modern technology. We save the old guy, and he gives us an infobot, which literally just plays an ad for a robo-shop that stars Captain Quark.
So if you're fighting crime, or just fighting grime, come.
Clank extrapolates that since Quark is in Metropolis in the commercial, he's currently in Metropolis. Ratchet doesn't seem to register how stupid that is and just points out that they don't have a ship. But luckily, old guy's here to give us one. But rather than taking the ship, I fuck off into the caves to explore the factory. The factory contains pretty standard fare platforming, and at the end of it, we find the plumber, who either appears or is mentioned in every single game in the franchise.
Newsflash, giant robots attacking! The escape transports are taking all the rich folks off this goddamn planet.
So why aren't you on one?
Socio-economic disparity.
It's pretty easy to see why. We buy the infobot from him, and without another word, he fucks off into the sewers.
Geronimo!
Did he just slide down a sewer pipe?
I guess one word. The infobot shows Skid McMarks, a pro hoverboarder, and his agent crash land on planet Iridia. We decide to go there, even though Skid has nothing to do with our current goals, and Ratchet hasn't yet had the character development to be altruistic. But first, whee! By the time I get to the bottom of the water slide, I've completely forgotten about the Radical, and I decide to go to Metropolis. After we land, I immediately check the vending machine. As the game progresses, you unlock more guns in these, so it's usually a good idea to check it out after you land on each planet. The vendor himself only has 2 fucking lines. Hey there, Fuzzball. I got some great bargains for you today. I grab the blaster so that I can have a weapon with a range longer than 4 fucking feet. We make our way to Captain Quark's obstacle course, or CQC for short. We're given the gist of the course by a robot dummy Quark, who Clank adorably believes is the real Quark and is legitimately saddened when he's corrected.
This isn't the real Captain Quark, you numbskull. It's a robot.
Oh.
Naturally, I ace the course, but the gym's coach isn't happy with us, so she makes us pay 2,000 bolts for our prize reward. After we buy it, she says that real men can swing without a swing shot, and Ratchet makes this fucking face. It cracks me up every time. The swing shot lets you grapple from 2 different types of points. The green ones simply pull you to them, and the yellow ones let you swing back and forth, leaping off like Tarzan. As I make my way through the rest of the level, one big thing is sticking out to me. You can't aim independently of your movement. Ratchet aims wherever his body is facing, and you can't strafe. This makes using the blaster generally awkward, but it gives the bomb glove a bit of a niche, since you only need to be lined up during the instant you throw the bomb, rather than for the entire burst of fire. I run into a helicopter, and I can't really figure out how to aim at it. I cheese it by jumping and shooting, and the game rewards me by explaining how to aim up.
You can accurately aim the blaster if you hold down the L1 button.
Grrr. 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 We make it to the place from the commercial, which is like 15 feet away from a flock of bad guys. Oh god, he has a hole in his tongue. Unfortunately, this is just a bug from the port. This is probably the worst one in this game, but they get much worse later in the franchise. Hal gives Clank a helipack upgrade, which of course isn't fucking free, and I immediately kill myself with it. We use the pack to get some platforming done and even ride a train, which has another infobot. The infobot shows that Drek is deforesting a planet to provide his new planet with trees. Clank's takeaway is to not underestimate the chairman, which I imagine would involve not rushing the chairman without a plan, so he concludes to rush the chairman without a plan. But first we have to find him. Of course, this planet can go fuck itself because now we're going to Iridia. I'm not really taking the planets in any sensible order, I'm just doing them randomly, but I do find it humorous that I'm just ignoring the fact that a planet is being completely destroyed and instead chasing after sci-fi Tony Hawk. We land on Iridia in a dark, swampy area, and we find Skid almost immediately.
In the flesh, little dude.
He says he'll give us one of his hoverboards if we kill the sand sharks for him, and Ratchet agrees with the biggest shit-eating grin I've seen in my life. I didn't buy the Pyrocitor, the game's flamethrower, when I landed, so this section was a bit harder than it needed to be. The Pyrocitor spews flames in front of you, so it's best for spinning around like a moron and killing everything around you. He gives us the board and we explore the level looking for his agent. Naturally, he's on the other end of the level. He explains that agents are worthless without a client and asks if we want him to represent us. Rather than tell him that Skid is alive, we accept, and the agent tells us to bring him the prize from the Blackwater City hoverboard race. We head back to the ship and take off, and we're treated with another cutscene, where we see that Drek is literally just towing his planet, which looks tiny due to the perspective, around the galaxy and stealing shit from other planets. He's told that the logging operation is done, so he orders to deforest the entire planet just for the fuck of it.
Just because we don't need any more trees doesn't mean they should have them. Destroy everything.
We land on Eudora to see a massive robot-driven planetary logging operation, and all of the enemies are complete pushovers. You can use the wrench to beat the entire level, and I pretty much did. I did find it funny that these big red guys will taunt you with a "come closer" gesture while standing comfortably inside the range of your guns. This made them completely useless in their task, which I assume was to guard the gun behind them. We grab it, and hey! It's the suck gun. It lets you suck up small enemies and shoot them out as explosive missiles. We play through the rest of the level and learn that we need an item called the Trespasser in order to proceed. And the game is nice enough to let us know that it's not on this planet. That's a small thing, but I can definitely see a lot of people getting frustrated picking through every nook and cranny in the level before just giving up and leaving. But this means that we need to head back to the ship, and I should say, this isn't the first time this is happening. Every level follows this formula. You start at your ship's landing pad, there are multiple paths to take from there. At least one path has an infobot, one path has a gadget, one path is locked off until you have a certain gadget, and sometimes a path will end in a secret. This means that you usually have to visit each planet at least twice, and if you come back later, there's always some kind of goodie that you couldn't have gotten on your first time there. It also serves to get a little bit extra out of each planet. This design has the risk of being annoying, but at any time where you would get blocked off, the game gives you a shortcut to go back to your ship, so you only have to clear that path once, even if you don't have the gadget required to finish it. We head back to Iridia and go down another path to a spot where we needed a slingshot. If I'd gone to Iridia before getting the slingshot, I'd have made the point about multiple paths then instead of now, but this is just how the cookie crumbled for my playthrough. We grab the Trespasser, which is a Gadgetron device that bypasses Gadgetron locks because I guess capitalism is the future. Each time you use the Trespasser, you have to do a little puzzle that involves spinning these concentric rings in order to shoot lasers into each target. I have to say they're all fun. I never saw a bad one. In fact, the puzzles are so fun that I stole the design for my own mobile game that's hopefully coming out before the heat death of the universe. Since we have it, I run back to Eudora, open a door, and end my own life. I'd love to blame the camera for that, or cite it as evidence of a mostly functional camera that's secretly out to get you, but that was completely my fault. We find the guy that Ratchet wanted to kill, and I guess he's the same kind of robot that we've been fighting, because he just fucked off and leaves us an infobot. It tells us about the Blarg Tactical Station, which creates science-y gizmos for Drek. Ratchet decides he wants to loot the place, and convinces Clank by telling him that maybe they'll get a lead on Drek, since it's his station. Now that we're on the station, we have to contend with demon frogs and these spiky worm turtle motherfuckers that are too fast for comfort.
Oh no!
We also pick up the Glove of Doom, which throws a squad of Allah's chosen to hunt down and smite any that stand in your righteous path. It's great at killing enemies that you just can't be fucked to deal with yourself. We also get our first boss fight. He summons some dudes occasionally, but they all die the same, and we meet a gadget inventor, who looks more like a teddy bear than a scientist. He charges us for the grind boots even though we saved his dumb ass. We test them out, but we don't actually get a real grind section until later, so let's go send Clank out into space. This is the first time that we play as Clank, and I'm kinda glad these sections don't come up too much. Clank doesn't really have any mobility options, and his offense is just a 3-punch combo. They do enough with it to make the sections fun, but any more Clank, and I think I would have started to resent the little metal bastard. The fun part of Clank's sections comes from assembling a swarm of gadgetbots, which can follow a simple set of commands, which you use to solve various puzzles. We use them to swarm a motherfucker so that we can grab a Hydra displacer for Ratchet. Unlike most gadgets, we have no idea what this thing does, since we don't get to use it till like an hour later. We still need an infobot from this level, so let's hop on this space submersible? I thought they used this model so that they could reuse it for an underwater level, but that never happened. As we arrive, we walk a couple feet to the bridge and are presented with a giant shiny red button, which of course we slap.
Thank you for selecting our automated self-destruct feature. Vessel annihilation sequence initiated. Please remove all personal belongings.
It was a self-destruct button. Now we have a minute to get out. This section always freaked me out as a kid. It was mostly the music and the fucking demon crabs. We escape with our lives and an infobot, which shows a reporter being eaten by an amoeboid. Clank is disturbed by what was ostensibly a snuff film, but Ratchet gives zero shits and just wants to go hoverboard racing, so let's go do that. Here we are in Blackwater City. The water looks pretty black. I kind of wish we did that in real life, like Washington, D.C., white building city. New York, tall building city. Seattle, Blackwater City. Haha. There's generally a lot more fucking enemies here, and we see our first amoeboids. These guys split up like Minecraft slimes when you kill them, and they are brimming with character despite just being piles of goo. That character is probably why this is one of the only enemies from this game that we see throughout the rest of the franchise. We run into a cleanup crew, which also attacks me, so they die like the rest. Standing in the middle of the carnage is this shady guy who wants to sell us a Rhino, which is an acronym for Rip Ya a New One.
What did you just say to me?
R-Y-N-O. Rip ya a new one.
Why, that's the most powerful missile launcher in the galaxy. I know it's worth a lot of bolts. He must have stolen it from the blog.
Stolen? Look, trash can. Did I say anything about it being hot? You better watch your mouth or I'll...
Wait, don't tell me. Rip you a new one.
The Rhino is basically a minigun rocket launcher, and each game generally tries to one-up the last in terms of how ridiculous they can make the Rhino. It's intended for you to use it on your New Game Plus playthrough, so it costs 150,000 fucking bolts. For reference, when I went to kill the final boss at the end of the game, I had 50,000 bolts. I'd bought most of the weapons, which generally cost anywhere from 7,500 to 15,000. I could just farm for bolts for a few hours and buy it now, but there is no way I have the patience for that shit. After eating shit to some discount Heku, we arrive at this open area, the purpose of which I have no fucking clue. Like, what purpose does a grid of lasers serve the people of Blackwater City? You could say it's some kind of cordon to deal with the amoeboids, but the Heku are stuck in here too. The lasers are also holding the first gold bolt that I get. Gold bolts are collectibles in all the games, but I have no fucking clue what they're used for in this one. I end up googling later, but the game does not fucking tell you. We also get 2 more tanks to show us that the Pyrocitor does not deal damage for every tick of flame that contacts the enemy, while the Blaster does deal damage for every shot that connects. This pretty much cements the Pyrocitor's role as the bane of shitty swarm enemies. Eventually we make it to the lady that's running the race.
Welcome to the HoverCon Intergalactic Hoverboard Competition.
She lets us enter the race, and it really throws you the fuck in there. Mechanically, the racing is pretty simple. You have boost pads, boost rings, boxes and enemies you can break for money, and explosive crates to avoid, which I don't my first try. Is that Skid? I thought I left him for dead with a sprained ankle on Iridia. I guess he really wanted to make the race. Well, we win and get a thingy, and take a cab to the other end of the level to use the Hydra Displacer. A Hydra Displacer lets you drain the water out of an area, or fill an area with water. I wouldn't really call these sections puzzles, since you're just manipulating the binary state of an area, but hey, it's something to do. After we get past that section, we arrive at a moment of PTSD for anyone who's played this game. I'm kidding, of course, but this section definitely stuck with me, and I still have memories of this bit as a kid. You go on this slide, hit a button, and oh fuck, the water's rising. Fuck, ah, shit. This bit isn't that hard, but any mistake you make will punish you with death, so your run really has no room for fuck-ups. We make it to the elevator, and it's probably due to the port, but the air bar doesn't go all the way away. It's like Ratchet's lungs are reminding him they exist. At the top of the elevator, for some reason, is Quark's trailer. The guard wants a bribe, so we oblige and enter Quark's TARDIS trailer. Quark says that he knows all about us and is generally acting quite suspicious, as he tells us to meet him at his training ground. So we head out. After we land, Quark tells us to meet him at the death course.
Haven't we done enough already?
What? I can't hear you.
I said, haven't we done?
Sorry, still having trouble. Tell me later.
Later? We might be dead by then.
What?
All right, Clank, let's get going.
While this level is a pretty big shift in tone, it plays out like any other level, with the exception that there's only one path to take, and that there are no enemies here, just turrets and mines.
What a thrill, with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill.
We make it to Quark, who is standing menacingly at the end of this hallway.
Well, you two continue to surprise me. Step into the ring of heroes, and I will finally give you what you deserve.
Ratchet, this is no time for you to become cautious. We have reached our goal.
I don't know. There's something fishy going on here.
Listen to your little metal friend, Ratchet. Your destiny is mere steps away.
It's just something doesn't seem right.
This is it. Quark is going to help us stop Chairman Drek.
Why, thank you, Clank. You've been most helpful.
Get off of me, you idiot!
I love it when a plan comes together.
What do you mean?
What do you think he means, genius? He's not gonna help us, he's gonna kill us!
You catch on quick. Although there is one problem with your hypothesis, I'm not going to kill you.
You're not?
No, he is.
But why?
Oh shit, Quark betrayed us. He was really working for Drek the entire time. We caught a glimpse of it, but this is the start of my favorite story beat in the entire franchise. Ratchet is livid with Clank for being such an idiot, and Clank is so naive that he fell for it and just doesn't understand why Quark would do such a thing. They would argue more, but right now we have a boss to take care of. Fortunately, he's weak to being shot at, and is too retarded to understand the weight tolerance of bridges. Like, if a crow can understand water displacement, you'd expect this moron to understand that he can't walk on that graham cracker if he doesn't want to take a lava bath. We get an info bot which shows that the planet is in trouble, and we get to see more of what I was talking about.
Those are Drek's ships destroying that planet. We must help that commando.
Are you serious? That's it! I am out of here! Captain Quark is gonna be sorry he messed with me.
This is not about Captain Quark anymore. There are innocent lives being lost.
Yeah? Well, I'm done with this stupid hero stuff. I got my own agenda now.
Ratchet, this is not like you.
What do you know about me? You've spent this whole time looking for Quark. You don't know anything about me.
I know that you will do the right thing.
Well, right now the thing I want to do is find Quark. How do you start this stupid thing?
Have you forgotten? You need a robotic ignition system. I will start the ship if you agree to help that commando.
So, blackmail is it? Fine. Just shut up and start the ship.
I like how Clank's blackmail attempt has Ratchet more bemused than anything else.
mention you deserting, maggots! The next time you soldiers try to go AWOL, I'll shoot you myself!
Look, I just want to...
Zip it, worm! You see those bombers? If you don't get to the turrets and knock those ships out of the sky, this whole planet's gonna be rubble! Meet me at the city entrance!
He needs our help.
Yeah? Why don't you go help him? Into another trap. Well, go on. Go fight some evil.
At least I'm not a coward.
Whatever. As soon as I find Quark, I'm selling you for scrap.
This section has really accurate tanks, so I cave and buy the Devastator. It's pretty much your only option for dealing damage outside the blaster's range of like 10 feet, and it does a ton of damage. I eat shit one too many times, so I decide to hop on our first real grind rail. This is another recurring feature in the franchise, and it's always a visual spectacle. All you really do is avoid obstacles and switch rails sometimes, but I never really found a section to be boring, and it's fun to be your own monorail car. The game also informs us that we earned a skill point, but for the sake of flow, I'm going to pretend I don't know what that is. At the end of the track is this guy, who wants to trade an infobot for enough money to desert the army. Unfortunately, I blew all my fucking money on the Devastator, so I run to the other level to find the general guy. He just wants us to get inside that fort, which the game keeps labeling as a city, but we need magnetic shoes to get in. He also gives us an infobot that shows Drek in front of his planet, which looks really fucking tiny from the perspective. The bot shows the Blargian homeworld, Orxon, so I guess that lets us go there. Clank is worried about Drek's destruction of the galaxy, but Ratchet couldn't give a shit. We go to Orxon anyway. I did not edit that. You're just kind of thrust into this section as Clank. We get some more gadget bots to play with, and this section is actually pretty fun. My favorite part is when we have like 8 of the little guys and send out our brave Mujahideen warriors to battle the giant crabs that can't actually move. At the end of it all, Clank sees an infobot.
Better not let Ratchet see this one.
And then shows it to him. Clank also picked up the magnet boots, which let Ratchet walk on metal walkways. The infobot tells us about a tropical resort on planet Pokitaru, which gets Ratchet excited.
Why resort? Pokitaru.
I knew it.
Oh, come on. Switch off your nerd circuits and have some fun. Look, we'll go just long enough to pick up the O2 mask.
Perhaps the extra oxygen will help your brain to function properly.
Yeah, and maybe the salt water will rust your mouth shut.
However, we don't yet have time for a tropical vacation because I never finished Battaglia. We buy the infobot from the deserter, and it shows that some Blarg guys are working on a helmet that lets you pilot fighter ships. They argue a little bit more, but we can see that Ratchet is starting to get over himself when he goes a little too far.
Yeah? Well, if you're so smart, how come you fell for Quark's stupid trick? Ah, forget it. We both need to get to this planet, and that's all that matters.
Since we have the boots now, we run over to the city and fight our way to the turret, where we're greeted by the plumber again. Hell yeah. At this point, I've completely forgotten that the guy at the start of the level told us to use this gun to shoot down the Blarg warships, so I read this exchange as Ratchet convincing the plumber to let us use the gun literally just for the fuck of it. We had a pretty standard turret section where we shoot the ships as well as shoot the incoming missiles, and the plumber rewards us with a metal detector.
Looks like he's good for something after all. Here, take this.
What is it?
It detects underground bolts. My grandfather designed it to suck up loose change on any planet in the galaxy. What a cheap old man he was. Well, see you around sometime.
This lets us sniff out a couple extra bolts from each level, which is pretty useful because we need those bolts. Weapons keep getting more expensive, and the characters are not done charging us money for gadgets we need to proceed. I have no fucking clue what the general guy is, but we're done here, so let's go somewhere with better weather. After being in what was basically a cross between Britain and Vietnam, this tropical resort scene planet is a very welcome change in visuals.
Hey, you two are the first friendly faces I've seen in weeks. You are friendly, aren't you?
To you, yes. To him, no.
He wants us to escort him to the other side of the island, and even though his resort ad said that you get an O2 mask just for showing up, he won't give it up until we bring him to the other side of the island, and then use his fighter jet to fight off the Blarg invasion. Speaking of the Blarg invasion, I have no idea what they're doing here. Every other planet has some kind of resources that needs to be extracted, but here it looks like they're literally just polluting the water for the fuck of it. This arbitrary galactic dickishness becomes sort of a theme for the blarg, and it'll come up later, but we have a dude to escort. This is like the only area I remember that is optimal for the suck cannon. Every part of this level is crawling with little fish guys, and sometimes there are these larger telepathic squid dudes. And I know you can't really call them squids when they have 4 legs, but quatorpus sounds fucking stupid. Despite this level being really easy, I ate shit a few times because the jumpy fish love to hide in the camera's blind spots, and they don't always die in one hit. Speaking of the camera, this level gave a good opportunity for us to use the crouch function to aim at enemies. Remember, Ratchet can't look and shoot independently. You can either use your movement to line up a shot, or crouch and stop to rotate on the spot so you can shoot enemies. You can also go into first person mode, but that leaves you completely open. The first person and the crouching are useful in some situations, but it's only because strafing isn't an option. I will admit that the combat just looks better, even if it plays significantly worse. Circle strafing enemies creates a very one-dimensional camera movement that is a bit hard to follow if you're not the person playing. I know some people that personally prefer this game's combat and camera over others, and this is why. They don't really play games at all, so only having to control the character and also not having to manage the camera makes more sense to them. I get reminded in my perspective as a lifelong gamer whenever I see somebody get baffled by twin-stick 3-dimensional movement or the mere concept of keyboard and mouse controls. Thankfully, this dude has been patient enough to wait for me to finish my tangent, but it doesn't really matter since the door he's waiting in front of is locked. The only way to unlock it is with a special move that you get from buying a rocket pack from Al's brother, who is conveniently next door.
Well, there you are, little buddy. Better new.
That's right, I am the man.
You will need a Blargian pilot's helmet.
Oh, for fuck's sake. If you don't like the level design in this game, this is a perfect example for you. This is the ultimate cockblock. You need the O2 mask to explore Orxon, but to do that you need to fly the jet, which is locked behind a door, which you get by buying the rocket pack for 2,000 bolts, which you could just not have at the moment, and after all that, you still need to have the pilot's helmet to fly the damn thing. Nothing really new or important happens here, so now's a good time to talk about the combat. I harped a little bit about the generally shoddy camera and how annoying it is to pilot Ratchet from my perspective of modern game controls, but I didn't really hit on how the shooting plays. I marathoned the entire mainline series in order, probably around 5 years ago, and I remember really not enjoying my time with this one. But during this playthrough, I was actually having a lot of fun, and I don't know why I have such a different opinion from myself 5 years ago. I guess this one's a lot less enjoyable if you have a more modern title in your recent memory. Enemies are very simplistic and often have only 1 or 2 different attacks that they can perform, and they move very predictably if at all. On top of that, all the weapons are very specialized, enough so that most of them have their own, but some weapons fall under the same niche. Like, I mentioned the Pyroster is good for shitty groups of small guys, but later on you get the Tesla Claw, which does almost the exact same thing, except it has a longer range, automatically locks onto bad guys, and is even worse about not dealing tick damage. It still has its own special use though, because its lock-on is great for enemies that exist on a slightly higher vertical plane than you do. Of course, enemies higher than you could also be dealt with by aiming at them with a real control scheme, but I wasn't really annoyed by that as much as I was before. I guess I started to choose weapons as a reaction to the situation, rather than picking a weapon and then adapting to the situation in order to keep using it. We get the pilot's helmet, so let's go use it. The flying section kind of throws you right in, and of course the plane controls are inverted and you can't change them. Since it's a plane, I'm mostly fine with it, but it still throws me off every now and then. Overall, the minigame is really fun. Nothing can really kill you in this one, so it's just a fun romp of ship destruction. After sinking all the blarg ships, which are full of pollutants, so I guess we just doomed the planet, we get an O2 mask, so now we can go to Orxon whenever we feel like it. I didn't feel like it, so I explored the rest of the level and found this guy.
You will find raritanium for me.
No, I will not.
Piece of junk.
I also found this bridge that is way too creative for its own good. Now we actually get to explore Orxon as Ratchet and interact with the friendly wildlife, which can't be too happy about this fucking gloop fountain straight out of the Lorax. This is when the game starts to get hard. This level's difficulty mostly comes from these crab guys. They instantly react with a long-range sweep attack whenever they take damage, so meleeing them with anything is just asking for death. They're also fast as fuck, and their claws have a really long range, so trying to run past them can get you killed. I die plenty of times before I get this infobot, which shows that Drek is literally just going to blow up a planet for the fuck of it. This forces Ratchet to care about the conflict for the first time so far.
That's just
So we gotta stop them. Alright, I said just for the fuck of it, but that's not his stated reason. His stated reason is the planet is on the perfect orbit for their new planet's weather, but that's not how orbits work? The orbit isn't just one perfect spot for a body to occupy, it's just an ellipse. Additionally, vaporizing a planet doesn't just cause it to stop existing. You still have a planet's worth of mass going in the exact same orbital as the planet used to be. So after they set up their planet, it's going to start attracting matter from the destroyed planet, and it's going to grow larger than predicted, throwing off their gravity potentially, and maybe even fucking up their artificial crust. That doesn't even touch how fucking difficult it would be to move a planet there with a literal planet's worth of debris. Anyway, Drek has his retard missile being assembled on Hoven, so let's go stop it from launching. Once we land, we get a hint and, oh shit, we can fucking strafe? What? All that complaining I did was for nothing, right? No, very wrong. You can't jump or do any kind of flip while strafing, and your weapon aim being tied to your camera rather than your character only works while you're holding one of the buttons to either strafe left or right. This game is designed for you to use Ratchet's acrobatic moves to maneuver through combat. You die really fucking quickly when you start ignoring that. After I finish being disappointed about the strafe feature, we get a turret section. I was initially writing a complaint about it while watching the clip, but I beat it before I could really write anything negative, so I guess it's got that going for it. As the giant spaceship falls into the ocean, I have to wonder how this planet is going to deal with a missile with a yield of the fucking Death Star just sitting in their ocean. They could just play it off like we do with our Broken Arrow instance. Did you know that there's a fucking live hydrogen bomb underneath South Carolina right now? Apparently they were just doing test flights of stealth bombers when somebody fucked up and accidentally dropped 2 live bombs out of the plane. They do have safety parachutes, but one of them failed, and the bomb went shlunk into some mud. The army tried to recover it, but after losing an excavator to the mud, they just decided to call it a day and stick some warning tape up. I guess that's fucking Mud 1, Thermonuclear Death Balls 0. Actually, I told that story off the top of my head, and while editing, I, actually Googled it so that I could get pictures and shit. It looks like something might have also happened in North Carolina, because North Carolina and South Carolina are both mentioned. Both of them have 2 bombs. However, one detail that I missed was that the bomb that went into South Carolina, this giant-ass crater isn't from the impact of the bomb, it's from the explosive primer inside of the bomb, because if you don't know how an atom bomb works, you have an explosive primer that triggers the nuclear reaction. So that's the explosive part of the bomb, not the nuclear part of the bomb. And the rest of the bomb sunk into the mud. Now, I think that the actual bomb that's stuck in the mud that the Army lost an excavator to is in North Carolina. But this still did happen in South Carolina, where a bomb landed, the explosive primer detonated, but not the nuclear part, and it caused a bunch of property damage and gave a couple people a concussion. Whatever. We get an infobot that shows a space base, so let's go blow it up. When we land, Ratchet and Clank decide to loot the place for a faster ship, and oh man, this music gives me the creeps. And I immediately ruin it by running to the vending machine. Vending machines usually get new stock once every planet, and this planet's new gun is the Visibomb gun, which I don't buy because I still think I could penny pinch my way to the Rhino.
I got some great bargains for you today.
Great bargains, my fucking ass. A gimmick in this level is that there are some force fields in your way that need to be destroyed. It's the game's way of telling you to buy the Visibomb gun, but I make do with the Devastator, until I run into the real reason for the Visibomb gun. The Visibomb gun shoots a controllable missile with the camera mounted on the back, so you can just fly it straight into whatever you want, like a drone straight from hell. This level is mostly combat, trespasser puzzles, and flying arbiters of death, but I want you to see this turret embankment. These are 4 gunners, lined parallel with the corridor I need to run down to reach the elevator. They have really good tracking, so you can't just jump over them and dodge. There isn't a route around them to just hit them in the back like with the turret boys. I even thought there might be some kind of hole that you'd have to New Hope a Visibomb into to kill them, but that came up dry. So I finally just said fuck it and charged in, and it worked? I really have no idea if this is what the intended solution was, but I'm on the elevator, so fuck it. We fight our way through a giant-ass combat area and eventually get to Quark. Ratchet tries to clobber him, but Quark challenges to a space battle, so we gotta throw down in the low grav. The boss fight with Quark is another ship combat section. Quark flies around shooting mines and shit, and you just gotta keep pelting him. The minigame doesn't really have enough depth to make it last for very long, which is why it's a great thing that there are only a few spaceship battles in the game. Any more and it would just get boring. We beat Quark and he either ejects, or this is the start of A New Hope, and R2-D2 and C-3PO are on that pod instead.
Yes! Quark is history.
Despite my earlier criticism, I must admit your piloting skills are improving.
I knew you'd come around.
But that has not helped us locate Drek.
Come on, Clank. Can't you just once relax and enjoy a little success? Hey, you want to catch Drek? Betcha this baby can do it.
This is Darla Gratch reporting live from Gorda City. This once peaceful planet is being torn apart today in an unprovoked attack. It now seems certain that Supreme Executive Chairman Drek will not be dissuaded in his efforts to destroy the galaxy for his own selfish needs. All hope certainly seems lost.
Darla Gratch, Channel 2 News.
Yes, I know. It is worse than I expected, too.
Look, maybe you were right. This is a lot bigger than you or me. I was really selfish focusing on Quark.
It is not too late to stop Drek.
Hey, yeah! We've got this new ship. Let's go get him!
Now you are talking.
That's it. That's my favorite arc in the franchise. Ratchet and Clank start off the game not knowing each other at all. This is the only game that builds on their relationship at all. Well, I can't say that with 100% honesty because Crack in Time gives Clank a little bit of development and puts a light strain on their relationship, but we'll fucking get to that in a few months probably. Stay tuned, I guess. Ratchet overcomes his selfishness and stubbornness and accepts his role as a hero, and Clank overcomes his naivety, although he doesn't get an apotheosis moment like this one. From here on out, Ratchet and Clank are best fucking buddies. Their character development is over. This was it. After this game, they're full-time galactic heroes, and this is where they learn their sense of duty. While that all sounds nice, and the game pitches this as a moment of, let's go save the galaxy, look at Drek's planet. It's done. Just looking at the picture of it shows at least 8 planets went into the production of that thing. That could have been stopped if Ratchet was focusing on stopping Drek from the beginning, but he wasn't. He was too interested in his own revenge to care about the situation. I don't know why the game doesn't make any kind of deal about the fact that Drek's planet is done, meaning that his plan is over and the damage is done. The last step is to blow up one last planet so that they can have their own orbit. I really have no idea how stopping them now counts as saving the galaxy, but whatever. Let's save it anyway by taking a trip to Old Tanis. My memory of this scene from my last playthrough is slightly wrong, but I love my subconscious edit, so I'll share it with you.
Clank? Clank? Come on, wake up!
Captain Quark?
No, goofball. It's me, Ratchet.
What happened?
You got toasted by lightning. This place is having one heck of a storm. You won't be safe out there. I'll be right back.
I remember the scene happening before we killed Quark. This meant to me that Ratchet's grumpiness was more of an act at this point, and that act quickly melted away when Clank's life was at stake. No matter when this takes place, however, the result is the same. We have to play this entire level without the mobility Clank provides us. The first half of this level kicked my ass initially. It has these guys that shoot lightning you need to jump over, but without a Clank backpack, you have way less control over your jump after you commit to it, which really threw me off. Thankfully, they're all weak to the Walloper, which is a big melee weapon that doesn't consume ammo, and gives you a tiny bit of iframes when you use it. After I navigated that hell, we grind our way to the guy from the infobot,
Own selfish needs. All hope certainly seems lost.
who wants to sell us another infobot. It's just an ad for a combat robot factory. At this point, I stopped questioning why we just go to any planet that we have an infobot for. We could just go there, but this level isn't over yet. We still have to do a spotlight stealth section. Yay! It's pretty minimal. If you get spotted, it spawns a few turrets that you can just run away from. Thankfully, this wasn't for nothing, because your reward for avoiding some lights is the Morpho Ray. It turns bad guys into chickens. Why? I don't know. But now we can leave. Is it that big, inviting front door? Nope, fuck you. Can't go in. You need another gadget. Well, I guess we'll go this way then. We run into someone whose look is a smidge controversial these days.
What an absolute soy boy.
He needs Clank to step on this machine so we can blow up part of the factory. We get to play as Giant Clank and bring death upon the unworthy. There is 0 challenge to this section, but boy, it's fun. Since we obliterated those guys, the soy boy gives us another robot ad. This time it's for that exact device that we need to go into the factory. And we need to go to Gadgetron's headquarters on Kalibo in order to get it. Unfortunately, Drek knows what we're up to and sends his elite assassins to make sure that we stop coming for him. Once we arrive on Kalibo, we get to see those assassins in action. Their gimmick is that they have jetpacks, which let them hover either conveniently within melee range, just outside melee range, or completely out of the range of all of your fucking weapons. Drek told them that they were free to destroy Gadgetron headquarters if they felt like it, but they spent most of their time hovering 10 feet off the ground like dipshits. Inside the HQ itself, we encounter a few robot combat arenas that have a swarm of robots, each using one of their weapons that Ratchet can also use. I suppose this could serve as a lesson for how each weapon has a limited role, but it's kinda too late for that. Past the death road of armed test dummies, we find the CEO of Gadgetron, who wants us to beat his robots in a race so that we can represent his new line of hoverboards. Alright, I'm down. This race was a lot harder than the first one. I didn't even come close on my first few attempts, but I completely forgot that we got a hoverboard upgrade as a prize for our first race. It lets us do Tony Hawk kind of tricks to charge up our boost meter, which gives us a bit of a speed boost. The other thing we get is rockets, which are great for when the AI inevitably rubber bands to catch up with you. Even with all that, it still took me a fucking half an hour to get first place, and I barely wanted that.
Just look into that camera right over there and say what comes naturally. Rolling!
Hi. This is Ratchet for, Gadgetron hoverboards. And if you,
Yo, dudes, for the freshest boards in the galaxy, check out the new XZ88 from Gadgetron. It's so hot, it's cool.
I think I got the wrong guy.
I love that. He gives us the disguise kit, and rather than using it, I decided to explore a bit more.
Hey, we finally get to meet the help desk girl. I hope she's cute.
What should that matter?
Oh, man.
Come here often?
Actually, I work here, so I come here all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I've been following your progress. Here, shh, take this. It's a map-o-matic. It will be very helpful.
I'll see you later.
Bye, sweetie.
I think she likes me.
The map-o-matic will show secret areas on the map, but I never used it since I never used the map either. Apart from the secret I didn't feel like going for, we have this level cleared out, so now it's time to use the holo guys. The factory starts out all cutesy and shit, but don't let that adorable holographic disguise fool you. This level is pure fucking evil. If you get spotted out of disguise, anyone that sees you will run to the nearest alarm. Once they hit that button, you're ostensibly fucking dead. It starts spawning these homing projectiles that you just barely can't dodge. On top of that, the sentry bots themselves have just a little bit too much health. When you combine that with the fidgety camera, you end up with a lot of situations where you just barely kill them right after they've already hit the button. And on top of that, the checkpoint for this section is way too far back. So if you die, you have to do the whole thing over again. And if you start to get impatient because of that, there are a few jumps you can easily beef, which of course instantly kill you. After all that bullshit, we get to meet...
Mom?
Oh, brother.
I tried, Mom. I know.
Hey, look! A sister!
Clank's sister tells us that Drek has another planet buster built, as well as which planet he's targeting. Bum bum bum. This is supposed to be a big deal, but I completely forgot what this meant. Since you probably did too, Veldin is Ratchet's home planet. I didn't figure that out until Ratchet started, growling.
Ratchet? Are you alright?
He is going to pay!
Excuse me?
It shouldn't have taken me this long to see it! Drek is going to find out what happens when you mess with my home! What are you smiling at?
This is the Ratchet I always knew was there.
Drek's fleet has a swimming section with lasers and electricity, another Hollow Guys bullshit stealth section, and a gunship minigame. But it kinda ruins the flow to talk about it. Like, we know where he is, we have a reason to kick his ass, but instead we're just fucking around on his ship. Since this is a level right before the final one, I decided to finally figure out what the gold bolts do. It turns out that you can use them to buy golden weapons, but only if you wall jump in this specific spot to access this secret shop. At this point, I have about 50,000 bolts, and I've abandoned my hopes of buying the Rhino, so I just load up on all the golden weapons I can afford. The golden weapons are just upgraded versions of their non-gold counterparts. Pretty nice upgrades like a larger tank for the suck gun and bouncy bullets for the blaster, but you could live without them. There's definitely money, goodies, and secrets that I could explore for on all the previous planets, but I was never that much of a secret hunter. It's fun to notice something in normal gameplay and then go out of your way to get it, but I just don't like combing through a level for potentially no reason, especially when we have a bad guy with an unkicked ass. When you land on Velen, you immediately notice that the atmosphere is significantly more somber. I mean, if we don't hurry, this planet is about to be fucking vaporized, so we don't really have time to reminisce about our first time being here, struggling with the camera settings and aiming. It plays out in pretty standard fashion. There's a lot of heavy enemies like tanks and these zeppelins that are way too fucking hardy, but I was making progress until I got up here and spotted this vending machine. I was immediately hit with a sense of dread, and I started to remember why. This section is fucking hard. You have a gauntlet full of jetpack douchebags, frogs, and armored zeppelins, which all have a range the size of Rhode Island, meaning that only 2 of your weapons, which have the most expensive ammo, can effectively fight them. On top of that, you have some precise platforming and this fucking hole in the ground that you can't see because of the camera. If you fuck up at all during any point in this, you have to start all the way back at this vending machine, and if you use too much ammo before you die, then yay, you have to buy it again. And remember, you're probably going to be using the weapons with the most expensive ammo. That's fucking fun. If you weren't that good at games, you could reasonably run out of money and then have to farm for it on other planets. Thankfully, due to my PTSD episode after seeing the vendor, I played super carefully and only ate shit a handful of times, rather than several dozen. At the end of all of this is a pad to turn into Giant Clank, so that we can fight our way to Drek's giant robot suit. Once we reach him, we tussle it out for all of 2 fucking seconds before he uses a shrink ray to shrink Clank to normal size, and then fucks off to another platform. He also reveals what his master plan is.
There must be another way to make a home for your people.
You think that's what this is about? Who do you think polluted our last world? I did. This is about one thing and one thing only. Cash, and lots of it. You see, I've been paid for every square inch of my new world. Once the inhabitants move in, I will begin polluting this world as well. Then the whole thing starts all over again. Brilliant.
I'm sorry, what? He's being paid per square inch, but he's just going out of his fucking way to destroy other planets. Like, his rationale for destroying all the trees on Eudora was just because he felt like it. A planetary logging operation like that probably costs millions of dollars a second to operate. If your goal was cash, why not operate efficiently? Stories that have corporate greed as a theme will do this sometimes, where the bad guy is just a dick for the fuck of it, and I never understand. The free market rewards efficiency, not humaneness. This is why it can be looked at as cruel, inhumane, or even evil. You could also have a theme about how money corrupts people to comical levels, like how the Indian upper class will buy houses at the tops of hills so they can stand on their fancy fucking balcony and watch the Untermensch go on their daily struggle for sustenance. But no, he wants cash, so he blows it all on dumb shit like planet-busting missiles, when they could have just stuck the planet on the other side of the orbit at no cost. This boss fight is actually pretty fun, which it fucking better be since this is the last one. He cycles through a few attacks, and after you deal enough damage to him, he fucks off to another platform and kindly leaves you alone to hoover up all the ammo before chasing him down again. Since his attacks are pretty simple, I ended up using the weapons that let me keep up the pressure while still dodging his attacks. You also have to do a bit of tug-of-war with this 30-second doomsday timer that'll activate the machine and blow up the planet, and wrangling that got me killed a little, but I managed to kick his ass.
This can't be good.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Even if you atomize the fucking thing, the matter is still there. That's a planet's worth of brimstone that's raining down now. Regardless, Clank's arm is broken, so they fall to their death. And that's the end of the game. I'm just kidding. Clank does that Superman catch thing that should just liquefy your organs from going at terminal velocity to 0 in a second and a half, so they're fine.
Thanks.
My arm appears to be badly damaged.
Ah, you'll be all right. Hey, tin can! Where do you think you're going? We, still need to fix that arm.
That was Ratchet and Clank. I started this project 4 months ago, and it's really satisfying that I finally managed to get it done. This isn't the only thing I do. I have a job and I have to go to college, so I was just kind of throwing this together in free time that I had where I was feeling productive and creative, and I'm just really glad I was able to get it done. Reviews are something that I've always wanted to do, and I just never did it. But what really got me onto it was the YouTuber To Snaker had a guide on how to produce reviews, and usually those kind of guides are like, oh yeah, man, here's how you buy a Yeti microphone and like plug it into your computer. Like, it's just like stuff that you need. It's just like the tools, you know? But he had really helpful advice in that you play the game and then just write down everything that happens, and then that gives you a bunch of material to use to write the script. And oh my god, that was a fucking godsend. And after I got the script written, I was able to After I got the script written, I was able to break it into a giant spreadsheet. And, I was able to break it into a spreadsheet, which had all the clips that I needed and all that. And my script and the spreadsheet are going to be in a Google folder in the description. But that just let me get into this big, productivity grind and just kind of get this video put out, because this is that was a ton of time put into this, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I know that it's not perfect, but I expect to get better at that over time. So if no matter what you think, even if you fucking hated it, I don't know why you're this far in the video and you fucking hated it, but I would appreciate it if you let me know whatever the hell you think, because I'm not like, you're not gonna like hurt my feelings. If you have some kind of criticism, I'll either agree or disagree with you. It doesn't really get to me. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and the usual thing that you do with big ass use of your free time like this is attempt to monetize it. And I really don't know how to do that in this case. I would love money, but my monetization got cut from my YouTube channel because why? Oh yeah, because they revoked it for no reason, and then that was right when the rules changed. So you have to have 4,000 watch hours a year or something like that, and I don't get that, man. I make like fucking 30-second shit posts, so I don't get 4,000 watch hours in a year. So they kicked me out of the partner program, and then right when they changed the rules, it wasn't because I didn't meet the new rules, it was because they said that my channel had unoriginal content, and I was like, wow, fuck you. So that was nice. And the other thing is Patreon, but that's like I'm open to that, but like I don't want to have a blank Patreon that I just send people to. So I think that's going to get opened the first time somebody mentions it, is when I'm going to create it. Just because I don't know. I don't want to beg people for money. My fucking screen just turned off. What the hell? But begging people for money is dumb. The other thing I might do is I don't feel any sense of like journalistic integrity, because I'm going to be playing. Right now, this series is, I'm going to call this series In Depth, because it's I don't know, because I made a joke where I took my avatar and then put a scuba set on it, and I thought that was funny, as well as I got really fucking in depth into this game. So In Depth is going to be on games that are, old, not that old. I'm not like a retro gamer, but just stuff that I can fucking talk about for a literal hour. And so since they're old games, and so since I'm really not part of the marketing cycle for that kind of game, or the kind of games that I'm gonna talk about on this series, I might do a kind of like affiliate link thing where I'm like, oh wow, like this video is about Ratchet and Clank, here's where you can buy it, and it's like a fucking Amazon affiliate link. But That's kind of fucking lame. Like anyone's gonna buy like a physical media these days, you know? Like, I don't fucking buy this game on physical media. I had it on physical media previously. I think we had 2 copies. I think I might still have a copy, but our backwards compatible PlayStation 3 is fucking dead. So we have our new not backwards compatible PlayStation 3 to play it on. I can't really think of anything else that I wanted to say at the end of the video other than I'm fucking impressed that you are here right now. That's crazy. Unless you fell asleep, but, you know, then I was in your dreams. I can't think of anything else to say. Love you. Goodbye.